I did that as a social experiment. As much as I don't like Joe Biden's policies, I never wished the man dead. It's kind of like a movie. Good-meaning cops do illegal shit to get the bad guy, but in real life, that's not supposed to happen. I don't want to be like the left. I don't want to be an unhinged lunatic. Those of us who were put down and called conspiracy theorists, or we're just saying because we're mean to Biden and we're just saying he's sick and we're just making up trying to smear him. No, we were actually fucking right. This doesn't end well unless it ends. Can't just report the fucking obvious. Just a motherfucking jump. Just go. Let's fucking go. This is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy and the other fucking guy in the room this Friday morning.
How
Chase,
you doing, man?
Chase, I'm doing good, man. You know, I got my fish tacos yesterday. Grilled fish tacos. They were great.
I know it was a quick trip, but how was the trip to Mexico?
Yeah, quick. I don't know about quick, man. It was 4.5 hours down, 4.5 hours back. Because I take it's probably about a half an hour out of time, you know, stopping on the side of the road to piss.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. It's like they're just spaces. There's not gas stations, and hell, you don't even have cell phone service.
Very true. Very true.
You know,
there's some points where you just lose completely all communication. Yeah.
That's the place the bodies are buried.
You're not wrong.
Well, your phone can't ping there, can it?
I mean, it'd be the smart place.
You know what I wonder though? So, you know, when I go down to Rocky Point, it's once I cross the border, I don't know, it's about an hour and 10 minutes or so. Once I cross the border. No, when I cross the border, you're right in civilization.
I meant like
till I get to Rocky Point itself.
Like the
but I'm just saying that then coming back after I cross the border, so, you know, it took me, you know, a little over an hour to get to the border and then get through, which was easier. It was harder getting in because holiday, you know. But then coming back, it had to be probably 2 hours into Arizona. That if you stay on the one road, I'm sure there's a way around it, you get pulled over. It's automatic.
Like already past the border inside of Arizona?
Yeah. 2 hours, not 15 minutes inside or a couple miles. I want to understand the legality of that, because I get that they've made exceptions related to DUI. Okay. You know, the DUI checkpoints, and they said it's legal and stuff to just randomly do. Because for the most part, on a constitutional basis, you're not allowed to do that.
No.
You just can't just stop people without probable cause. And 2 hours in, and the dude even asked me for a second, then he like backtracked because he was a young dude, right? Like, asked me if I was an American citizen. And I was like, yeah, for 57 fucking years. You know, like what? Like, it bothered me, you know, just that far inside the border that you can just deter people off and ask them questions. Because if a cop pulls me over here in Queen Creek, and he asked me, hey, how are you? You know, what are you doing? Where are you coming from? I don't have to tell him. I can tell him, but I don't have to. And I used to be like kind of a dick. You know, I didn't do the whole video thing that you see now with people. This is my constitution. I didn't do all that. But I was like, why does it matter where I was? I don't have to tell you where I was or where I'm going.
Yeah.
That's not your fucking business. You got me for what? Speeding? Write me a fucking speeding ticket. Send me on my way. Here's my information. You don't have to tell them. So why do I got to tell some other fucking customs, like, you coming from, because you through that one road, you go through the reservation. Yeah. You go through reservation land. And you know how I knew I was on reservation land?
What was that?
Because as I was driving, I tried to place a bet on a game, and I couldn't. because I wasn't in the United States. I wasn't technically in Arizona there. Just fucking sucks. So between that and like having reception, it made it on and off, it made it more difficult. It was just funny. But yeah, he asked me if I was coming through the reservation. No, I'm coming from Mexico. That's when he asked me, are you a US citizen? Like, yeah. What were you doing there? Eating fish tacos. Grilled fish tacos, by the way. They're just, there's salt have you eaten at Salt?
I don't think so.
I think
no.
I mentioned that to you, didn't I? Over at Santan Village.
I have not.
There's a restaurant there
yes,
called
I have
Salt,
not
and
tried it,
that's a pretty decent chain. There's a few of them around, but good food there. Good Mexican food there, but definitely Banditos.
Yeah.
In Rocky Point. That's my place, and I probably could eat them for breakfast too, but I could probably eat it every meal.
Yeah.
Like, definitely every day. I told you, like, y'all just should adopt me. You know what I'm saying? Just make me a fucking honorary Mexican. I just love that shit. So yeah, it was a very quick trip because I'll drive anywhere for food. Oh, you got to see. Oh, pull up my Facebook and then we'll come back to this and get started with this stuff. But you got to pull. Oh. Yeah, there's my fish tacos. And I think I had 2 bites of rice and I ate a chunk of that cheese off. So I kept it, I kept it pretty healthy. And that was actually, no, there's my sign that I wanted to show you. Now, that's funny. That's just great. And what a great sense of humor for somebody to do that sign and put that sign up inside of Mexico. I just loved it. It was fantastic. Yeah. So I had a few fun posts on my way down too. Yeah, and that's just on the side of it. They do that around here. I mean, they do that in Arizona where they just arrange rocks and tell you where it's at, where you're at on the side of a mountain.
Around, yeah.
Don't know the real purpose of that, but we do that. Yeah. And that's, yeah, let's just go through my Facebook. It's okay. Can you imagine that? I mean, everybody's familiar with Denzel Washington. Isn't it hard to believe that motherfucker's 70 years old, dude? 70.
I feel like he's been 70 for a long. I don't know if that's just because I watch a lot of movies.
Really?
But he's always seemed like a very older gentleman. Like
really?
In a lot of the
he's always seen. But I saw him in the young stuff too. You know what I mean?
So that might be why. Because like a lot of the movies I watched and stuff like that, he's already been an older.
Yeah, because he was older. And what's the one where there's 3 of them and like he's the badass?
Red or something like that.
No, the one doesn't it begin with an E?
Oh, Equalizer.
Yeah, Equalizer. Yeah, because he's kind of an older dude in Equalizer.
And a lot of the movies I've seen, he's been like a father figure.
But still, like even in that, 2023, like he still seems, as far as older, he still seems like 60, maybe.
Yeah.
But 70, I'm like, fuck.
No.
Because I'm 57. I'm going to be 60 around the corner. Obviously, I'm having a tough time with it. No. But see, did you ever see Training Day?
I've seen a lot of these movies, but
okay,
because I like a lot of the movies I first watched would have been in like 2010, 2015-ish. So like Eli, even in like this movie, I remember watching this movie. Like he's not young, but he's not old at the same time. But in my head, he's always.
So you're saying he's like me? He's not old, but he's not young.
Yeah, he's like right down the middle,
Thank you.
No, but I think
good save.
Definitely that he's just always given. I don't know if it could because of the movies. He's given off an older energy, I guess, presence where I've always seen him as an older gentleman in a lot of these movies.
There's a couple there I've definitely not seen. Like I've never even heard of The Great Debaters. Yeah, never heard of that at all.
TV series,
but most of the other ones. Oh, it was a TV series. But just look at that list, dude. That is a hell of a fucking career. That is phenomenal. Just, I, I, I've always been a Denzel Washington fan.
I agree.
Just does such great stuff.
He's a great actor. He's
Absolutely
a great actor.
Amazing. What a career. But yeah, I just posted just because I came across, it was like 70. That motherfucker 70. And he was giving shit to some reporter. He didn't like that somebody said something to him. I don't know. And then the reporter touched him. He was not happy. So that was recent that I did that. Yeah. That was where that from. See that guy's got his arm around him there? He had just like been like telling that guy to fuck off. Maybe that's why I like him too. I don't know. Something like that. So lots of good stuff going on. There's just lots of stuff going on. Oh, jeez, dude. Yeah. Dude, so I did that as a social experiment.
This one.
Yeah, that was my social experiment. Well, I mean, I meant what I posted. Don't get me wrong. You know, I hate cancer. My mom died of cancer. You know, most of us know quite a few people that have died of some kind of cancer or another. And cancer is just a motherfucker. I'm not a fan of how we treat cancer. That I think there are options and things available that we don't give a lot of thought to because it's not considered the norm yet, you know, and then if you do it, then you're put down, you know, you're I don't know, cancer medicine denier. I don't know. I just know that I really don't like chemo at all. People that just, I feel like chemo killed my mom as much as the cancer did, you know? Like you have to be really fucking strong to get chemo treatment. It is gonna fuck your shit up. So Joe Biden diagnosed with cancer. Obviously, most of us believe in what we know. Science, right? Follow the science. The chances that the dude just found out is slim because of the stage cancer he's in. He's known it for a while.
Stage 4, I believe it was.
Yeah, and it could be like he could have known for 8 to 10 years. Okay, because this is a slower moving cancer, you know, and it's an aggressive stage right now, but still he's had it for a minute. And as much as I don't like Joe Biden's policies and as much as I despised that 4 years, I'm not unhinged like the left is. I never wished the man dead. I didn't hope that he would get shot. I don't hope that he dies of this cancer. I thought what happened to him during his presidency was really, really sad. I thought that he should be home with his family, and then just the whole denying it, and then having everybody come out now and say, yeah, we were fooled. We should have done better. Like the whole Jake Tapper thing and him writing a book after he put down Laura Trump, and now says, yeah, I apologize to her. I was wrong. You were a condescending motherfucker is what you were. And you all still do that shit now. Instead of considering, you know what? Maybe that there's some validity to this. Can you diagnose something? Look, as humans, we evaluate shit all day long. And sometimes you're saying, look, it can be somebody who has no diminished mental capacities at all. You ever been around somebody where you're just like, maybe you say something to them, maybe you don't, but you're like, they're just off today. They got something going on in their head. Maybe it's another problem they haven't shared with you, but somebody's just off today. And you just know that by observation, just by life, okay? You couldn't know during this period of time that something wasn't motherfucking off. Oh, now we see it now. Now it's more clearly. Bull fucking shit. We saw it. And we were put down for it. And I think that a lot of it was done intentionally. That they weren't fooled. They did it intentionally because they hate Trump that much. They just hate Trump that much. And it's worth it because we hate Trump so much. Everything is okay. It's okay for Trump to get shot. It's okay to, use lawfare to try to put him in jail. It's okay to use the FBI to spy on a president's campaign and try to fuck up his term in office because we hate Trump, because he's Hitler, and you got to stop Hitler no matter what, even if it's illegal. It's kind of like a movie where you have usually good-meaning cops do illegal shit to get the bad guy, and you justify the bad shit the cop does because they're getting the really bad guy. But in real life, that's not supposed to happen. You're not allowed to do that. Now, we all know that it does to some extent. Maybe they make up evidence or whatever, but you're not supposed to do that. That's the country we live in, the world we live in. We're not supposed to do that. So it's kind of like, reminds me a little bit of that. But back to my social experiment is, obviously I have a lot of MAGA followers or Trump people on my friends list, predominantly. And I have people that are other, but the majority are definitely that. And I just wanted to see what their response was. And you can see that. I think one person was kind of an asshole. And other people were honest about struggling with how to feel about it. And I get that too. I appreciate that. There's somebody sharing that, But, and then you have people like Susie says, like me, I dislike him. I dislike what he stood for. But I'm not hating on the dude to die. And we all know that they wish for Trump death. Like literally, because we know it just from the posts and the things they say. They were mad the dude that shot him missed. And so since he did miss, it must have been a hoax. Yeah, because it's so easy to just clip somebody's ear. I mean, and the posts that I see now are so funny about that. Like the people that just don't want to believe that he really got shot. And then you also have people that just say the most nastiest fucking things. Not just about Trump, but about the followers as well. And so that's, that's kind of obvious. But I just wanted to see the difference there and to see how people responded, or, compared to how much response I get from most of my posts, how people would take this. I did notice on X when I posted it that I had a few people drop off. Like, I don't know if somebody just sees that as a post of mine the very first time. Do they think I'm a Biden supporter?
Possibly.
Possibly. Yeah, for sure. But I don't think, my whole point is we don't have to be like them. I don't want to be like them. I don't want to be like the left. I don't want to be an unhinged lunatic. And I don't want to, wish an opponent. I won't say enemy, although I almost said that. But the reason I don't say enemy is because we do have actual enemies. Terrorists, other people that wish us death. Those people I don't give a shit about and about dying. That's different. This is us. This is another American. And I long for the time when we were able to just disagree and not be unhinged. And maybe we haven't had that. Maybe that's nostalgia that I have that just isn't true, because, protests were going on from before I was born. But it seems like the protests today are different than the protests that happened when I was born and, in my youth and like just a young kid and didn't know, wasn't paying attention. Those seemed real and organic. This all seems manufactured or manipulated. Yeah. Like I think the original civil rights marches and stuff, that was real. That was legitimate. Now it's people pretending that they're in that same time or era, or it's just as important, or no, that's not the case anymore. Nobody's at the back of the bus. Nobody's being denied, staying at a hotel or, Major League Baseball players who were black, when they traveled with their teams, a lot of times when the restaurants they'd go to, they weren't allowed to sit with the team because they weren't allowed to be there. And other arrangements would be made or things like that. That's real shit.
The one thing I will say is you gotta have to, like, as much as you don't like the idea of what they're protesting about, you gotta have to see it in the eye. And I like, although you might see what they're protesting about is stupid, and it might be, but it goes back to the whole concept, right? Like back then when the civil rights things were kind of happening and stuff like that, and maybe in your eyes that seems more reasonable to protest. It's the same thing, right? Back then, the people that were against the protesting were like, "Oh, well, why are you protesting? Like everything's fine. Like everything, like there's nothing to protest." It's almost the same thing now, where it's like, yeah, you might not like the whole trans thing or whatever, and a lot of us probably don't agree with it, but it's their right to protest, right?
Yeah,
like everything starts from something, right? Like even though the majority of people don't follow or don't care for it, it's like,
here's where I take the difference.
Okay,
is you look at the protests now, and so many of them are people that are bussed in. Everybody's given the same sign. Somebody is funding it. It's different when you just come out of your house and walk to a place where there's being a protest and you join it versus them recruiting and even paying people. And then it's the same people with the different types of protests. It's all the same ones that they're drawing in to do it to make it look a certain way. Now, I'm not saying that some people don't get caught up in it and join on their own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you're saying a majority
but I'm saying there's a core that happens that attracts them, like on purpose, that makes it not organically happening.
Gotcha.
That there are, yes, I believe there are people who are not terrorists and, maybe don't hate Israel, that just want peace and whatever. But at its core, the anti-Semitism, the murder that just happened in Washington, D.C., oh my God, man, that's insane. That this dude walked up to a couple that were at an event, were at a Jewish event that was actually the event, because there was a woman that talked to the guy after he shot the people, and then he walked in a building, and they didn't know he was the guy that shot the people. They just had heard shots. And so this guy just seemed distressed, and they thought maybe he just saw what happened, and they're talking to him. And the event that was being held there was people who were Jewish, who were trying to focus and help on getting aid, food to the Gazans.
Okay.
That, they haven't allowed aid trucks in for a minute, right? So there's this concern and worry that people are going to starve. But here's the problem. When food was being shipped in, it wasn't getting to the people. It was being confiscated by Hamas, and Hamas used it, for barter to sell and do other shit with, that it's like, it's not even, we're sending stuff and we're not even getting it to the people that it needs to be, that you need to even feed.
Mm-hmm.
You're just handing food over to Hamas. That was the issue. So here, these are people that are actually caring about the people in Gaza, and this dude is yelling about free Palestine and kills 2 people because of, what's going on there. The difference is, I think, and the reason that I back and support Israel, they just want to live in peace. They don't want war. They don't start any of these confrontations, but they've always responded, and they've responded like hard. And then people say, well, isn't that too much? Who says response has to be equal? If you hit me, I am hoping to hit you harder and more often to end whatever the confrontation is. That's what I'm hoping to do, is just end it. There is a group of Muslims who, and I don't think this is all people who are Muslims, but there's a group of Muslims that at its core, they literally want Jewish people and Israel wiped off the mat, to just not exist. And under any circumstances. And that's who I believe Hamas is. That's maybe not the Gazan people, but then when you mix in with them, what do you think's going to happen when they illegally, or you're not supposed to, when they hide among hospitals and schools and these places? Like, you just can't target shit like that. It's not a thing. And I do like that we've been seeing where, because they had one election, right? They had one election, and Hamas was voted to control their government. And there's never been another election since, for the last, I don't know how many years it's been, 18, 20, or whatever it's been, okay? That the people don't want what's going on. They just want to live in peace. But the terrorist organization, how do you negotiate with someone that wants you wiped off the map? Because even if they agree, they don't mean it for a minute. It's just to give a little break, to regroup, to come back, because ultimately what their 100% real belief is that the Jewish people should not exist in any way, shape, or form. It's just crazy. And again, so then when you get back to these protests and stuff, dude, explain to me how you have people, gays for Gaza or whatever. Like, dude, in all those Islamic countries, they don't approve of that shit, that lifestyle. They kill people that are gay. They throw them off of fucking buildings. That's not made up shit.
For sure.
Do you know how stupid that is? But that's what I'm saying. You get this mix. It's the same people that they just want to get caught up in protests, and I'm different and I'm resisting, and they're just playing a role, because that's what they do anyways. They play a role. They're pretending to be a fucking woman when they're a dude. It's just playing shit up. I don't buy into it for most of them, I guess is what I'm saying. I could be wrong. I'm just saying that's my view. What were you gonna?
No, I was just gonna say, again, I don't know if I'm just playing devil's advocate.
No, that's okay. I don't mind.
But I don't know, because even though whoever you're supporting doesn't support you, doesn't necessarily mean that you can't support a movement or something.
They kill you.
I get that. I totally get that. But where they're supporting on the side of the U.S. supporting them, not necessarily the gays are going to be supporting Hamas, but the group in the U.S. that is protesting or Because are they protesting against the U.S. helping them, right? Not necessarily against Hamas.
That's one of the things. I don't think that's the only.
Yeah,
that's not their only thing. You know, they want. You're listening to the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy, and the fucking guy needs you to hit the like button. We need you to hit the subscribe button. We need you to share an episode, one of your favorites, with one of your friends, and spread the word. We appreciate it very much. Y'all have a great week. God bless. This is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy. They want a place, or, you know, some people have said a Palestinian state, you know, a country.
In the U.S.?
No,
country.
no, there,
Okay,
country
gotcha,
there.
Gotcha.
And see, you have to understand, too, the best way to kind of look at it is, look, we took land that was the Indians. We thought we won, okay? Let's go back to Russia and Ukraine, the area called Crimea, when
Putin?
Obama was president. Russia invaded and took part of Ukraine. They took Crimea. Okay, and it's been part of Russia now since then. Whatever year that was, 2014, whatever year it was.
Yeah.
You know, but it was like over 10 years ago. It's been Russian. Well, Ukraine would like that back now. You lost it. You literally lost it. The idea that they're going to give that back now in negotiations over the new shit that happened ain't fucking happening. It's just not. Okay, so that's where Trump comes in and says, that's just off the table. Like, if you're expecting that, that's not going to happen. Now, if you're talking that they might have taken a city in this new excursion in war and you get your city back, that's a little bit different.
Okay.
But, and then you have the 6-Day War. So what was it, late 60s? The Islamic countries all come at Israel, and Israel kicks their ass really fucking fast. And then they take some of that land around there, which is, you know, the land we're talking about now. And then they start moving people in and building houses for Jewish people. And they've been upset about this ever since, you know, they took this land. You lost the fucking land. You attacked another country. They kicked the fucking shit out of you. And they took some of that land to expand the border a little bit, or to create a little bit of a cushion to protect themselves, because they're surrounded by their enemy, who wishes them and has wished them nothing but death for thousands of fucking years. Pretty much. I mean, think about it. If you go back, I don't even think you have to believe in the Bible, whether you believe in the Bible or not.
Exactly.
It's still true. The history of the Jewish people and
the land,
everything. That there's been nothing but war since the beginning of fucking time, almost, right? Yeah. So you think, you know, now you want you want Israel to just give you the land back?
Yeah.
That's how that's going to work? You're going to reward that somebody who attacked you? That's not how that shit works. I don't know what the answer is there. I don't know if it's Jordan, but one of the countries right around it, because I'm not an expert at this shit, but one of the countries around Israel, maybe it's Jordan, that's like that their people are pretty much like 95% Palestinian. So why don't they just go there? Just understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
No, I get you.
That's already their people. This is your people. So if that's your people, but why is it that you have to ask yourself this too? Why is it that, and I had no idea I was going to talk about this today, but why is it that everybody around them and these other Islamic countries, even though they express support for Palestinian people, none of them welcome them to their country. Yeah. Yeah. Somebody right around there, I think we'd probably have to put what country is predominantly made up of
that's what I searched
people of
up,
Palestinian descent. Is that what you put? Yeah. Jordan. See, so I do know some shit. I wasn't sure. Yeah. More than half of their population. It just seems like that would be a good place. Yeah, kind of, right? But they don't really seem interested in that. Or interested in
going
offering that.
Yeah.
That country said, hey, you know what? You're our people. Come here. This is where you're welcome. I don't know. But when we get all the way back and go back to this protesting and stuff, like I said, it just doesn't feel organic to me. And like I said, I totally get your point of view. And I do think there are people that are honestly, supporters or whatever, and not really bad people that they just don't really understand. That's how I would put. They don't really understand. They just getting caught up in it.
Yeah, I was about to say that was another thing. Like, they don't really fully understand the situation. They're just getting behind other people that are protesting just because that's
and they're doing that, or they're just they just don't want anybody to die.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? They're just against, and that's, but it's really kind of flipped. It used to be a Democratic position where they being more anti-war. It was the Republicans. Now there's still a small section of Republicans that are still left that haven't been totally kicked out yet, that are the ones that were war. The Cheneys of the world. And back in that time, I supported that stuff. But as we learned more and more, it's like, yeah, I'm not, that's not me. I've evolved. That's not who I am. I don't want to tell other countries what they need to do. I'm all for other countries being ruled however they want to be ruled. If that's by a king or, some type of, socialist or communist government, that's up to them. If they're not fucking around in our shit or messing our shit up, like, you do your thing. That doesn't mean we can't do business with them. And that's what Trump is all about. Trump's just about the business. Just about the business. How about we all focus on what if we worked together and made money and just made shit better and lives better for everyone and gave everybody better access and, kind of focused on that kind of stuff. It's transactional, but it's what I'm not for is what we did for years and years. And, growing up is we were trying to turn other countries into democracies. We're not even a fucking democracy. So I'm just not for that. If the people want that, because what did it get us? Like, what did it get? All of the shit we did with Iraq. I'm for like slapping somebody down and like, because we should be big, strong, and powerful, and for slapping somebody down and like, get your shit together, don't fuck with us, kind of a thing. But like doing the whole regime change thing and what we do with the CIA, it's like I'm not really for that. I'm not behind that shit. We're all different. We have different cultures, and I'm all right accepting that kind of stuff. What I'm not all right with is when it's forced on the rest of us or that kind of thing. So I don't know. But Biden, this whole shit, people should care more. People should care more about the fact that we don't really know. Biden, and I don't mean this in a mean way, like some people would mean it, but he was basically a puppet simply because his skills were diminished and he was being used, and he got to a point where, he really didn't know what was going on. And somebody was making decisions, or a group of people were making decisions. Yeah. As an American, you should give a shit about who the fuck that was. But it's amazing as this stuff comes out.
And it gets brushed over and move on to the next thing.
That people still don't want to believe it. Okay, look, Jake Tapper himself is literally admitting it now. Maybe not to everything, but a good portion of it, admitting that those of us who were put down and called conspiracy theorists, or we're just saying because we're mean to Biden and we're just saying he's sick and we're just making up trying to smear him. No, we were actually fucking right. And he's actually saying we're right. This is somebody on the left who defended and supported the Democratic Party and the president. They were not unbiased. And to me, you don't have to be unbiased. I'm biased, but what's the difference? I tell you what my bias is. And I tell you why I feel this way. Like I explain it. I put it out there. These people act like they're for the truth when they're not. Because if they were really for the truth and what you expect of a press, they would have been asking those questions. But because it was Fox News that asked the questions, Fox News sucks. Fox News is horrible. They lie. It's been in court and they lied and they had to pay this big fine. Dude, y'all are getting Pulitzer Prizes for shit you lied about. Like, you get awards. You got awards for shit that now is not motherfucking true. Now, just now, in 2025, the real reports are coming out that we know for a fact, right? We know for a fact that there was a greater risk to give children the COVID vaccine because of what could potentially happen giving them that vaccine versus letting them just
go about.
Just their immune system, because the chances that they were going to get it were slim and the chances that they were going to die was almost non-existent. Non-existent. Yeah, they could get it, but they weren't going to die or get sick because, dude, it was, I don't know what the final number was, but let's say it's pretty easy. If I say 20, it could have been half of that. Like documented cases of, ones that were 12 and under that they've said, yeah, we know for sure they died of COVID. It was an incredibly, like 0.0001, that kind of shit.
Gotcha.
And now, remember the athletes in the mitochondrial how do you say
mitochondria?
That thing. Mitochondrial ditis? I think that's how it's said. Off the top of my head, without seeing that. If I saw the word, if I saw the word,
you can pronounce it out. Yeah, but
I could probably, do that. But
anyways,
yeah. But anyways, now they're like the signs of that, or just the risks in general. They're saying were greater, that they knew shit.
Mm-hmm. That they didn't.
That they got reports on, and they're like, okay, we're not going to tell the people that, because if we tell the people that, then they might not wear their masks, and we want them to wear their masks. We want to control them. even more of that shit is coming out, just like what we knew 3 years ago. Well, some of us knew when it happened, came from a fucking lab. And we keep getting further away now from it jumping from some animal in a wet market, some bullshit from monkeys and bats and shit, to it's actually we were fucking around with this shit, which totally makes more sense. It's less crazy to think. Not that stuff can't happen like the other one, but when they are specifically working on this specific thing and making it more powerful, that it could get out of the lab, that somebody in the lab that worked on it got sick and they spread it to somebody out and it went, pew. That's what happened. And all trying to control so we don't hate China, right? Because we don't want Chinese hate. We don't want Asian hate. Asian hate's bad. You know, the first thing, that just takes me back. I don't mean to keep jumping around, but that's the first thing. So 2 Jewish people get killed. You know what the first thing the left talks about? Islamophobia.
Gotcha. Yeah. You got to label it.
Oh, we can't. We got to be careful now that 2 Jews were killed. We don't hate people that believe in Islam. That's their first focus. Why can't you just focus just for a day, just for a fucking day, on the 2 Jewish people that were killed out of pure hate? Why not just focus on that? But no, you're worried about the people or person
that's going on over here. Yeah,
perpetrated it. Yeah. And then people don't get, like, anybody can be Muslim. I could become Muslim if I wanted to.
It's a religion.
It's a religion. Yeah, because he's Mexican, and they're like it was just baffling people.
Like, how does that work?
It happens.
It's a religion.
It may not be common, but it happens.
It definitely happens.
It happens. I don't know any. I don't. I don't know
any Mexican Muslims.
No,
really.
No,
it's actually Muslim. The religion has become very, very, very popular within the past few years.
I don't doubt that at all.
You'll probably run into people that just you wouldn't even know, because it's just practices you follow throughout the day. It's not necessarily like you don't change the person you are.
Right.
It's just the different foods you eat, when you pray and stuff like that. So you might actually know a few Muslim people.
Yeah, that could be true. That absolutely that could be true. I mean, look, he's not Mexican, but Andrew Tate, he was searching.
Yeah.
He was searching.
Going through different religions and stuff like that. Yeah.
Like what closely aligns with, what I believe. And I think that he mostly was drawn to it because of the strong masculine context that you get inside of
a man being more of a traditional man.
Yes. Yeah. And how they defend that, and how Christians have become pussies.
Yeah.
I don't know another way to put it. But if Christians hadn't become pussies, I think, there would have been a greater chance that he could have decided on that. But just the fact that between the 2 religions, one defends their beliefs more than the other one does.
Yeah.
Because it should be this is it. Like, you don't get to like keep manipulating it, changing the rules, it and stuff to fit whatever
time period
bullshit.
Or whatever
exactly.
It is,
It's supposed to be the rock. It is what it is. So, yeah. Okay. So more stuff is coming out, and we're going to see more stuff. And then that gets to what I was really planning on talking about, was the MAHA event yesterday with Donald Trump. And this is a website that is really, really good. It's what was it?
Straight Arrow News.
Straight Arrow News. Because I couldn't pull it up here. So Straight Arrow News has like a compilation of articles and things. And one of the things they do when they highlight a story, they report on it, like who's actually reporting on it. Is it mostly media that's considered right, left, or center, or both? And it'll put those, and you can see the same story. So the story yesterday, so you see there that on the left there was 2, and then as you get further right, there was 2 and there was 1. You could even, it'll show you or give the link for it where you can actually read the same story but get different points of view on the same story, which I think is great. So that you're not just always reading from a source that just always aligns with whatever your preconceived notion is. Yeah. To see how other people are viewing it. But, making a commission on making America healthy again and focusing on these chronic conditions. Whatever somebody thinks of Robert Kennedy Jr., the one thing that at least I get from him is that this is something that he really cares about. And as far as facts go, it's pretty hard to dispute the fact that, years ago, back in the 60s, very few of our, a very small percentage of us suffered and died from chronic disease. And now that's where almost all of our money goes to, and all of our health care is dedicated to chronic disease. So what changed to make that happen? And that's where we get into these chemicals, these dyes, where we get into the food and the things that we allow into the food. And I love this, that we're taking a look at this, because it is undeniable that we have, for the money that we spend, just like education, we spend a shit ton of money, but we're not getting the best outcomes. And it can't all be in treatment. It can't all be, the whole focus cannot be in just searching and trying to find new drugs to treat the disease. I like that the focus is on trying to get people healthier with the things that we put into our body and our lifestyle to make it less likely that it happens in the first place. Because we're not doing that at all. Literally not at all. It's absolutely no different than when I'm dealing with clients about their health. And now I think Dawn is a little, I don't know if she's surprised or not, but she's finding out as she helps more and more people, and especially women, and trying to offer advice and help. And you give people the answer and they just don't do it. They just don't implement it. So there's only so much that we can do. I just had a guy who I've recently started working with, helping him with a program. We got him on semaglutide. He was low T. We're getting his test level up. He was just asking me, and we just literally started recently. And he's already asking me about other things to be able to take. And I'm like, dude, now's the time for you to put in the fucking work. There's not like some magic thing that I'm going to tell you to add. The magic thing is you putting in the work. Stop expecting something else to do the work. You gotta eat fucking better. When I know immediately when someone tells me, well, my diet's pretty good, I know it's pretty shitty. Like immediately. And that's usually the case. Or, yeah, I know, but yeah, I haven't been able to. Look, 30 minutes twice a week? 30 minutes. You can't do 30 minutes twice a week? And if you can't, then that's lifting. And if you can't lift, you have to still exercise. You have to move. It's not as effective as the lifting, but walking 20 to 30 minutes, 4 or 5 times a week. Like, how important is it to you? Or is it just not, you just want to say it's important, you'd like to have results? No, you just like the shit to go away. You'd like the fat to just disappear. Or in the case of this new client, like, dude, you're wanting this shit to happen too fast. Especially, I'm talking about people who have 50 or more pounds to lose or 100 pounds to lose. You know, if you're not in a framework of 9 to 12 months minimum on making this happen, then somebody's telling you shit, because that's what it's going to take to do it and to do it right. And I'm constantly telling people, like, look, man, I'm patting you on the back here. You're 2 pounds a week, or 1.5 pounds and 2.5 and 1, and you're doing great. This is exactly what we want. You're on the right track. Keep doing this. That's what we want people to do. But we want people to focus more on their overall health. And look, I think it's crazy that we don't have standards anymore. And I'm just going to say it. Look at, I don't know, maybe there's studies, we could look it up at some point, but how does the police, people who are law enforcement, how do they compare health and fitness wise or obesity wise with the general population? Is it the same? Are they a little bit better shape? Because what I see is, I think they're the same as the general population, and that's not good. I mean,
I think they have because they do have to train. They have to train, and they have like requirements they have to meet.
Dude,
but the requirements that they have to meet aren't to the standard I feel like it should be.
Well, and the standard is different when you're trying to become one versus if you already are.
Yep.
See, when you're trying to become one, just like the military, they have some, hard things. Because I've worked with some people that, because they use that stupid BMI, which is totally wrong. Like, you could be like really muscular and BMI is going to say you're obese and you're not. You're fit as fuck. And I'm pretty sure the military doesn't mind if you're strong as fuck, or they shouldn't, but apparently they do, because BMI is used. But where I've helped people get in where they couldn't get into the service. And so now they're trying to lose weight over the next 6 months so they can try again. So I've worked with people in helping people do that. So there is a different standard there versus when somebody's in, but there's no way, I totally agree with you. There's no way that the standard once somebody's in is high enough, because if that were true, then it's different if somebody's on a desk, I guess, versus out in the field. But it's a bad look. It's a bad look. But out in the field, there are way too many fucking fat cops. I don't know how else to say it. There's way too many. Now, I don't know how prominent that is in the difference between, say, the fire department versus the police department. I would say, I would bet that the fire department would be a little more fit, that their requirement a little higher because of all the physical things that they absolutely have to be able to do on a daily basis, not just occasionally. Yeah. And I'm not just talking about how fast somebody is either. You know what I mean? It's just, come on, you're just going to have a hard time when you're 100 pounds overweight and you're a cop. That's just not a good thing. And the other thing, you know what else I don't like? This is bad. I'm saying this stuff. Fat nurses. Out of shape nurses. You're in the health field. But again, is it really about health, or is it about just treating, chronic disease? It's not about what do you have to do to be healthier. That's not the focus of our medical professionals, because that's not how they get paid. The whole system is fucked up. There's not a great incentive for them to do that, and we need to change that monetary incentive to focus more on that and being able to advise people. Maybe it needs to be more like what I do with our doctor, where we pay a monthly fee, and he seems to care a little bit more about, staying healthy, getting regular labs, getting things in check, that thing, instead of always dealing with the problem, but instead focus on how about we try to make it so that the problem doesn't happen. That's what I like about this. But diet, nutrition. So they have the commission, and this is it too. So when I tell people, the other thing is eating wise. People are taking these drugs to help lose weight, and they're not changing their diet. And especially for kids, look, I totally get it. I ate Twinkies as a kid. I mean, and that shit probably had a shelf life of 20 years. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we did. Now, other meals, besides breakfast or a little treat we had, we did eat some good food. Maybe it was comfort food, but it was whole food. It was real food. Maybe our land wasn't as destroyed as it is today, and things like that all played a role. So I think that's absolutely true. But we need, even if it has things on it that we don't want on it, and you can clean it, you're still going to be better off eating fruits and vegetables than in the snack aisle. You just are. Eat more of the things you like. Everybody that I know that I've worked with that is overweight, when I had a consultation with them, we were able to come up with real foods that they liked. And most of the time, they liked more foods than I did, because I am super fucking picky. And I've mentioned that before. Like, I don't like asparagus. I don't like spinach. There's just certain things I just don't like. Broccoli. And I'll talk to somebody, oh yeah, I like broccoli. Yeah, I like spinach or whatever. There actually are enough good whole foods that they really, okay, why aren't you eating that? And it comes down to laziness, because the other shit is more convenient. It's just more convenient. And it really doesn't take a lot more time, than maybe 20 minutes to prepare like a legit meal and prepare it yourself. Now, I get what?
A little bit longer than that, but...
Well, it depends.
Then you have to wash dishes and a bunch of other stuff.
Well, but most people have dishwashers now.
I don't know if that's a personal preference, but I do not use it. I don't like.
You don't use a dishwasher?
I don't like dishwashers. No, they don't clean things properly.
Yeah, that's good, but still.
No, to an average person that uses a dishwasher, yeah, it probably doesn't take more than 30 minutes.
No, but still, like, I'm just talking about because you're gonna have dirty plates, no matter what, or you can use paper plates in some cases, but still, you're just the time making the food versus heating it up. Most things are going to take at least 4 minutes or so to heat up. And so in this case, we're talking about, 20 minutes, 25, whatever it is to, make a meal. And, crock pots are great things. Start throwing some shit. You don't have to cook the chicken breast. Throw the chicken breast literally by itself in the crock pot and get you some high protein chicken broth. Now I get the stuff that's not 2 grams of protein per serving. I get the 10 to 19 grams per serving chicken broth. It's more expensive. I get that. And I'll either put, a little bit of potato with it and green beans, or I'll put cauliflower rice. That I do put in the microwave, the cauliflower rice. Easy, quick. But I'm still, making the meal. But you could put it all, then I keep it separate and put it together in a bowl. And it's chicken rice and or what you can put asparagus, put whatever your vegetable is, put it in a mixed bowl like that. Just it's not that hard. And if you care about losing weight, it's probably a good idea. I'm just saying, just focus on real fucking foods. And most of the time, it's not that somebody doesn't like the whole foods. It's just they're not choosing
to eat that. Even
though it's stuff they say they like, they're not choosing that to make for their meal. And it's just harder when you get enough protein and you're eating those kinds of things. It's harder to overeat. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's harder to overeat than what people are going to experience, with the other crap or the junk food and stuff. And, that's the great thing about the GLP-1s is the fact that, and I like Dr. William Seeds talks about how you get a couple benefits. You don't just get the appetite suppressant, which is very, very good at, but it helps heal your metabolic process so your metabolism can actually speed up too. So you're getting two benefits there amongst others. And then even the potential for not losing muscle, but if you're getting enough protein and you're doing that 2 days, that actually it has anabolic properties, actually adding muscle or at a minimum maintaining. So it's way better things going on than what most people realize. He's got a new book coming out in the next month or two. So I'm definitely interested in checking that out because the dude is he's the godfather of peptides and it's just awesome. But it helps people. It's something that should help people. And he talks about this, and all the best people do. They talk like I do in that about the lifestyle change, assisting you in making the lifestyle change. And my whole point is don't even bother with this stuff if you're not willing to make the lifestyle change. If you're not willing to put in at least a little bit of time, and I've given you the minimum amounts of times, and if you're not willing to make some dietary changes, look, I mean, yesterday I told you I had grilled fish tacos. I loved them. They were great. Fresh fish right from the ocean. But I only had 2 bites of rice and eating a little chunk of cheese. And then on my way down there, I had 2 protein drinks that were 30 grams of protein each. And then those new David protein bars I bought that were 28 grams of protein, so just for quick and easy. And I did that to make sure I didn't stop and eat something stupid, which, in situations like that, it's easy to do when you're traveling. Well, I got to do something. I got to eat. I'm hungry. Boom. So we do that to keep me from doing that. But I had planned on the tacos, but it didn't blow my diet because I had grilled fish tacos, and Dawn and I tried to do that. We try to enjoy life, but we take it in the smaller amounts, So I'm super excited about this MAHA report that came out and reading the report and maybe sharing with y'all a little bit more about that in the next episode that we do. You can look for yourself. Don't just believe the media. Just don't believe the reports. Read the report itself and make your own judgment instead of listening to people that want to tell you how to think about it. And make your choices from there. There we go. That's our show for today. This is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy.
Whoa! Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believed me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life.